and see if he can put this thing in at least put some pressure on Wesley here. Let's see what happens in those.
Now Wesley just made an interesting. It was knight b3, the opening move by Magnus, and Wesley instantly played f5. The funny part was knight b3 was designed to discourage the move f5.
But Wesley didn't care.
Wesley said, no, I'm playing f5. I'm going to develop my light square bishop potentially to d5 and e6 and follow it up with e6 so he can try to solve his bishop's problem.
I wonder if f6 was more precise.
Rather than f5. I mean, I think you're joking a little bit, but I do think it's,
it's not crazy. Now I'm beginning to f6 a lot more because put the move f5 on the board and imagine I play d3. So now I'm threatening queen a5 with a double attack.
Uh-oh.
Which is a typical Fischer random tactic, right? Anything that's not nailed down early is vulnerable to a double attack. So I can understand f6 a little bit more. I'm warming to it, but what a move.
On the live board, we can actually see the Nepomniachtchi Caruana game. It's moving very, very quickly.
They are really...
We'll sync these things up here in a second, but just for contrast, at some point we'll do a comparison, and that's interesting to see how much faster they're playing over there.
Okay, Magnus
F3.
needs...
Wow.
Magnus needs to be wanded. I mean, he's playing computer-esque.
F3 and E4. I mean, the players. I mean, jokes aside, there's Magnus is doing no reason to be wanted. He had plenty of time to look at it legally, and probably he did see that this was an engine suggestion and believes in following suit here.
Yeah. Only problem I thought connected with f3 was that my bishop was closed. So that's why I thought f4 is more into position's nature.
Right.
But
since the f-pawns got traded, the bishop diagonal opened anyway, right?
Yeah. So
no harm, no foul.
Exactly. I think knight b3 is. I like first knight b3 a lot more because you wait for your opponent. f5, f3. I really like it for white because, as in standard chess, you cannot always copy opponent's moves. It will backfire at some point. But Wesley does.
Right. How long can he copycat, Danny?
It's an interesting comment because we saw Hikaru Nakamura yesterday in the chat talking about how difficult it is to trail when you're playing Fischer random chess, but especially as black, because sometimes the best approach is in Fischer random to follow suit for a little while, find some symmetry. But when you don't want to draw, that's hard to do as black. Wesley is okay with a draw.
Oh, are you kidding? Wesley will be ecstatic.
And if we look at the clocks here, let's remind everybody, although we've had 2 days of slow rapid, we are almost already in time pressure in regards to what's on the timer here. But
now, the way I see it, c3, kind of a reluctant move because, for sure, I think everybody and his brother and sister for that matter, would love to play bishop d1 to g4. You're developing a piece, you're eyeballing the king, but the problem is that black's setup allows him to play h5, bishop h3, and knight f4, and your light square bishop is getting hunted down. So Magnus played the move c3 with the idea of bishop c2 castles, and he's going to be playing for d4 to break the symmetry. He simply is in a situation in the match where he has to create an imbalance.
Yeah, this is the position where actually Magnus got what he wanted. Not that it's better or there are chances to win already, but you want this type of position.
Oh, absolutely. Mixing it up, no question about it. By the way, bishop g4, bishop g5.
Bishop g5 by Wesley.
I mean, good for the goose, good for the gander type of
Inviting h4, though.
As we just saw in that previous...
maybe knight f5 also is.
I think Magnus is pausing here to reflect and might go for h4.
Go
okay,
h4.
No, he plays bishop c2, continues with the plan you said, yes.
Okay. I mean, he's not going to be dissuaded from what he wants to achieve, which is castles, d2, d4, the central pawn duel.
But let's point out that somebody else
king to b1. Sorry.
Has I was going to say somebody else can castle right now, and right as I said it, Wesley does it, and Magnus follows suit. So I thought I was going to beat them to the punch and say they can both castle now, and they're too fast. So there you go. They have, and Wesley immediately responded. Is still playing very quickly.
By the way, Wesley's tempo I mean, his
Like the speed of which he's playing, right?
is
Yeah.
remarkable. I mean, as he slowed down his tall.
And that's very annoying for Magnus.
Right.
Very annoying. He's
Mm.
playing so fast. Oh,
And Magnus got up from the board. And
Hops up from the board to tell something to the arbiter.
something is okay, a little bit off.
Either he doesn't like something, or he's
yeah, he didn't like, something was on the table probably.
Okay.
And
King
Got it.
B1. Okay, tucking the king away. Something that Tony Miles always liked to do is whenever he castled queenside is tuck the king away, bring it to closer to the corner. King B1, and not getting out of this pin. The bishop on G5, pinning the knight on E3. Whoa!
Bishop H5.
I like that move a
wow.
lot.
Wesley is
Wow.
If he induces G4, by the way, then the F4 square is firmly in Black's hands. I don't talk about the tactics after bishop takes E3, but very quickly, Magnus said, you can have the tempo. You can have that developing tempo. The bishop on H5 won't bother me when I put the
Right.
rook on C1. So he answered very quickly, rook C1. You know, the more I think about it, I think if I was in Magnus' shoes, I would have played H4.
yeah
earlier,
earlier
just to-
instead of bishop C2.
Yeah, just to
Right.
force the bishop to declare its intentions.
I'm more like watching the game and I'm like, oh, I like Wesley's move. Then Magnus makes the move. Oh, I like that too.
Well, we are fans at heart. I mean, that's why
Exactly.
we're here. I mean,
Yeah.
They play well.
Robert and I have had many shows like that in the speed chess. You go one way with the other. I love that move. I love that move. even more.
Yeah, that counter is great.
Just because I wanted to play D4, I think my rook on C file actually is better than on D file. I would love to have another one,
Right.
like rook C1, rook D1, but okay, I'm not dreaming yet. So
Now he's gone for H4.
Yeah.
Again, forcing a declaration over there, because if you do play bishop H6, and I'm not saying G4 right now is a threat, but
White's
it
Because the
hovers
bishop
over the
takes E3, I
position.
bishop
think.
takes E3.
Yeah, it hovers
and-
over
and
the
Wesley
position
actually
that you
does
have
it
to
right
pay
away.
attention. He took on E3.
I'm
And he said, okay, well, I'm satisfied that I'll give up the minor exchange to get some squares on the queen side, king side, let me say.
I was gonna
I
say,
think he
you got
wants to
G4.
play, yes, I think he wants to play also queen E8 to G6, and by eliminating the knight, the G2 pawn is vulnerable.
interesting.
Yeah, I think bishop E3 is very nice move. Bishop H6 I wouldn't go because of knight F5.
Okay, there is also maybe a more concrete problem there with knight F5. Yeah,
And maybe D4 very quickly, but
yeah,
I
hunting
like
down.
I like how Wesley plays. He's always like, we're thinking in more complicated way to use this or that tempo, and Wesley's like, this is good enough.
This is a very
I don't
concrete
know.
solution, by the way.
I see this totally different than you. I feel
Please,
like this is
please,
great for
Anna,
Magnus from
Really?
from
Okay.
a perspective to have a double-edged position that's going to offer long-term Magnus-esque chances. He has the bishop pair imbalance, and even though the tempi has been all about the king side, at some point we're going to see the queen side come into play here.
92.
G4,
92, G4,
G4,
knight
knight
takes,
G1 because I
or
want knight
kn-
F3.
or knight C1. Either way, you've won an exchange.
Right.
I think Magnus is sacrificing it for some sort of attack, right? I mean, unless you think he just missed knight e2.
No, he
No.
cannot miss knight E2.
No way, right?
No. But the way I saw it was a little bit differently. At the start, Danny, we always look at the weaknesses. The weak points are A2 and G2.
Right.
And it's funny how early in the middle game, and it's relatively early, there's a dozen moves, the G2 pawn has
Still a
already
target.
been targeted right out of the box,
Right.
right out of the gate. Rook G1 inviting knight E2, I'm sorry, that's a whole exchange.
Yeah, I'm.
Oh, there's a
I'm
bishop
s-
G5. I'm sorry.
Right.
So knight E2, G4. Knight F1, Queen F1.
Yeah, knight G1,
Queen
G1.
Bishop F7, Bishop G5. Hello. I can, but in this case, Wesley is happy. Pieces are being traded.
Wesley doesn't go for it. He plays bishop g4. What an interesting move to actually. I really like that
I love
move now
that
from
move.
Wesley, exposing the outpost square.
Yeah.
Going to really sink in some control on the light square. So
Now knight E2 is a threat.
knight e2 is a threat to fork the two rooks even in an even more devastating fashion, everyone, since now g4 is no longer on the table for Magnus. So Carlsen, in fact,
ended up having
immediately has to go with the bishop here. There goes my hope. I was
yeah.
looking for a Magnus trump card
something.
that he would use the bishop pair. And okay, he's rattling off moves very quickly. But notice the time, though. Wesley's so very comfortable in this time control, and it's why we had it as a worthy daily question yesterday. Because this is not something that's new to him. In fact, I would argue he's among the world's most experienced in this time control, which it means a lot, I think.
Not only experience, he's like the MVP.
One of the most successful in the pro chess league.
It's one thing to say I play a lot of blitz, but it's another thing to say I'm like the world's best. You know, like,
No, he's.
And by the way, d7, d6, and Wesley has landed on his feet
Wesley
firmly.
has great position.
His rook's on the open file. He has his fair share of the center. None of his pieces are bad, and a safe king. I mean, and that's all you can ask for out of the opening. Give Wesley moves to play queen e7 and rook f8, and suddenly it's like, who's playing for a win? And Magnus didn't play anything a little bit. I can't double. c3, I think, was an attempt to unbalance what was an even game, but.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said
was
that
great.
it's quite possible that h4 earlier, after the move bishop to g5,
maybe that
right
had
away
to be
might
played
have been
right
the opportunity
away.
for more of an initiative, right?
Right, just to avoid this bishop to f7 to h5 business,
Right.
But okay, having said that, it was a very subtle mistake,
Right.
even if we're not sure yet it was a mistake.
Right.
But it was a very subtle one, because right now I'm looking at a position where I prefer black.
Yeah, totally. And I want my pawns back. I want pawn h2, pawn g2.
Yes,
I feel like
exactly.
it's pretty close to level, but I guess I'm looking at the fact that Wesley is also up 2.5 minutes. And I can't argue that black has had no problems after the first stage of things. This looks, other than these awkward knights, it looks very close to a regular e4, e5 sort of classical chess game of some kind. But again, black has established really good control over the white squares.
And give me a plan for white. Give me a plan for white.
They don't pay me enough to do that.
Okay, sorry.
Sopico can give you a plan for white.
can do. You want to play d5, c4, c5.
You always give me the hardest job.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I see two plans for black. I see queen a4, rook f8. I see queen e7, rook d8, f8. And I'm thinking in either case, I've got command of the open f file.
Yeah, the queen can also come here and rook df8.
And I'm a happy camper.
So what do you think white should do here, Sopico?
Okay, so I'll try. Knight a5.
Okay.
Right.
It's not my move. He played. I didn't even see he played king a1. That's why. So.
Okay, knight a5.
Okay.
I wanted to play b4, but that doesn't make sense because I'm giving up a4 square. There's nothing I can do about it.
Okay.
So maybe I can somehow close maybe the center with d5, c4, c5, queen b4.
Okay.
See, this is why we pay you the big bucks. I think that's a great plan right there.
And I will counter that by saying, yeah, I like grabbing space, d5, c4. Yeah. But while you're doing that, I'm a bishop whisperer.
Okay.
Now, how does your bishop on d3 feel? The moment you've played those two moves.
We don't worry about our bishops here.
we don't
think about checkmate.
The bishops take care of themselves.
I would say the biggest issue is probably just the most straightforward kind of approach you said, Yaz, where you almost ignore it. You put a knight on f8, so to speak, for the queen side and infiltrate.
Away we go.
But maybe I'm getting here.
No, c5
well,
I will play.
I would have preferred knight b6 to d7.
Okay, to hold c5 back a little bit. But
c5 anyway?
Right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean, Magnus is
and
getting
then we
some play
trade
here.
everything, and then it's like my bishop versus your bishop, and I win. I win.
Trade everything, and it's
rook
my
F2.
bishop versus your bishop. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he played d5, by the way.
C3,
Yes.
pawn is on d5.
Magnus going for the attack.
He's listening to me.
Oh, look at that! Oh, he's done it.
You found the plan. Whether it works out or not, I'm happy to see this because I think White has chances here, and I think Magnus is going to create an opportunity for Wesley to maybe go wrong, which it's the fastest they've played so far in their match. Slow rapid is yesterday.
I see that Wesley has a really, really simple plan in front of him. He could actually go knight d7 or knight a4. I think both are interchangeable moves. c4,
You're just going to put a knight on c5.
You
dirty
know
dog.
it.
You're just going to shut
I'm
down
going
everything.
to just shut the position down with
and
knight
just to
c5.
show everyone, the main point is positionally now, not
Look
only
at-
is the attack gone, but this is what we call a Frankenpawn. An
Frankenpawn.
overgrown pawn.
Can I
and
play
he
bishop
stopped-
b5
He
instead
actually played
So
rook
is even
f3.
Oh, bishop e2, rook e3.
Correct.
Yeah.
I didn't see. Oh, what a move! The point is,
But-
Your
you
nasty pin. There's no bishop takes g4 check.
yeah, the king's on b8.
Yeah, that's why king b8.
But I will play bishop b5 first.
Okay.
Like right now,
Where did he go actually?
To b1.
To b1.
Went to b1.
bishop b5 would
I wanted
induce
to provoke.
a6.
Yeah, I wanted to provoke a6 and then play bishop f1.
Interesting.
That's fun.
I don't know, but maybe knight a5, then at some
bishop
point
takes
bishop
a6,
a6,
and
or
you're-
c4, c5, because
Some happiness there,
knight
maybe.
d7, I don't know, knight d7 and c4, maybe knight c5, take b4. I don't like it.
No.
I don't say that I like it.
But it is
Magnus
tricks.
felt
But yeah.
Magnus felt that he had to put his bishop defensively
Out of the
minded.
way.
And by the way, that game that was like the French game, it was game 4,
Yeah.
where we really criticized Magnus for playing passively bishop d7. He could have played f6 and bishop
Right.
g6.
Right.
He really went passive in that game. The move bishop
I knew
b1.
this
It's
reminds you a little bit of that. I
I
think
need this bishop on this side.
passive.
Knight c4, rook f2.
Yeah.
I will say,
These are
other than the
passive
time, by the way, look at the
moves.
crowd. I mean, standing room
Wow.
only. You just have to
Yeah.
appreciate where we are. Yasser and I had experiences yesterday of just a random person coming up and asking me
Like-
whether I thought Magnus had a chance to come back in the match.
Yeah.
And just the fans, it was amazing just to be in the environment. So shout out to all the fans who showed up today.
Great feeling.
And
Absolutely.
even if it doesn't quite go the way of the Norwegian hero.
For a moment there, I thought that Wesley was going to play the move knight c4 to just kind of occupy and slow down the move c4.
But here he's
Yeah.
got your idea in mind. He's coming to c5.
Okay, and Magnus has just played queen b4. Okay, he's looking at knight a5, c5 ideas.
For
Sopokov's
sure,
plan.
for sure, he does.
This is. I mean, he's generating some kind of counterplay. The real question is, I thought he was about to play
Knight
b6,
A5.
and he does.
Yeah.
I was
So
about
the question is, can you get away with this despite the knight coming into the light squares? I guess it's.
Well,
Maybe c5 now. Because knight a5, knight c5. If I allow knight c5, then that's it.
yeah, even this check just to show without firepower
Does
to.
not give anything. Even king b7
Yeah,
and
'cause
a6 if you.
Yeah, if check again, you go here.
Also, I'm
And
okay
you're-
with draw.
Okay. Oh, good point. I forgot about the match situation. That's a
Yeah.
great point. Wesley is kind of playing with house money at this point.
Maybe c5 now.
Okay, c5, and this is where I think we trade everything.
Well,
on
what
c5.
about this move and take with the knight?
That's a wonderful.
That's an exchange
sacrifice.
sec worthy of Tigran Petrosian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your favorite, right?
yeah.
But
mean, this
maybe
is
still
shut
I
down
can
the studio.
have a bit of hope, like queen c4, b4.
Queen c4, a5. Yeah.
Yeah,
c4,
a5.
Always try to maintain that knight on c5 as long as we can.
That's
But here you have rook f1, and that's a little bit annoying.
Right.
Because you've fortified that
Right.
f1
You're
square.
going to grab the only open file on the board, which is more
That's
valuable
huge.
because it's the only
Yeah.
open file.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
And now
so-
it's clear black is playing for draw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that after c5, which we think is more or less the best, I'll go knight c5, knight c5, dc5, rook takes c5, rook f1. And I'll just try to shut you down this way. And now we kind of understand why Magnus played the move bishop b1. But again, it's not like
Hold the back rank.
he's doing anything really wonderful for.
But still, maybe I can take rook c3. I have d6 in mind, or queen c4, rook a3, queen a6 very fast.
So
I'm
rook-
dreaming, I know, but
Just don't, yeah.
Still.
Yeah, we don't want to get caught on the background. So rook f1,
I
queen
would
f1,
say
rook c3,
yeah.
with the idea of d5, d6, or maybe queen e7,
yes,
and going on the attack.
Yeah.
The bishop on b1 is doing
great job.
defensive work. And Supiko is saying queen e7, d6. Magnus fans can still rejoice there.
And rejoice, there is counterplay.
There
Yeah,
is
now
counterplay.
bishop on g4 is kind of out of
Awkward in the
game.
line.
A little bit. A little bit. You want that case. You want to put it back on C8, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest thing I think we have to draw attention to is the clock, though, and here we see the camera work being nicely done by our partners at NRK. Thank you so much for the amazing feed. But that's a shot right there that has Magnus fans nervous. He's almost under 3.5 minutes, and we're about to reach the most complicated part of the game.
And he's played knight A5, by the way. He didn't go. We kind of disdainfully rejected knight A5 because we thought it was a leap to nowhere, actually. We thought knight C5, knight C6 check, king B7, and the desirable queen A3, so you could play B4, queen A7 mate, as met by rook takes queen. Oops. Oops.
I have a feeling that this is not the player who forgot what happened yesterday and what is the match situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's
got
still,
the Halloween ghosts of opportunities lost, as Jonathan Tisdale wrote.
Because, I mean, knight c6, it's a beautiful piece, but actually
it's not enough supporters.
It's one of those things nicer to look at than it actually is useful here. Because
and knight c5 is even better, because then you cannot do anything with the queen. Queen a3 is not possible, queen a4 is not possible. How do you want to attack me? Probably you have to go back with the queen and play b4.
I'm thinking about rook c3 with the intention of queen a3, but I'm thinking rook c3, bishop d7, and you're just saying, get out of Dodge, dude. I mean, that knight on c6 is being undermined, and there's just not enough firepower to work with here for white.
I think we will see perpetual. Magnus is also thinking. He takes a lot of time.
I'm wondering how white is bailing out here.
To do that, I mean,
I think. Well,
but either it ends now or he has one more game.
Is it really that bad?
It's really bad. I think white overextended. I much preferred the lines, Pico, you were mentioning with c5, at least in that.
Back in this position right here, c5.
At least in this case, after everything got traded, you've got ambitions of utilizing the pawn on d5 with d6, as you mentioned, or maybe the c file.
Yeah, I wonder if he was more worried about the exchange sec. Maybe we played that too quickly, but it felt good the first time, and then we kind of lost it on the f file. But okay, we've seen now a couple more moves.
What has happened, in fact?
Oh wait, we are seeing a draw.
Perpetual. Yes.
Wow, they have agreed to a draw. Magnus keeps his World Fischer Random Chess Championship hopes alive with that by not letting the position get too far away. But again, kudos to Wesley So.